It's July 14. Ukraine Media Center confirmed starts its operation, and my name is Svetlana Chaparenko. Now we will find out about the situation in the east bank of Kherson region. Joining us online is Yurii Sobolevskyi, first deputy head of Kherson Regional Council. Good morning, Mr. Yurii. Good morning, Mr. Yurii. So the east bank of Kherson region, what is the current situation in the temporarily occupied territories? For the time being, we see the complication of the situation in the East Bank and the temporarily occupied territories, specifically humanitarian situation. We see the increase in pressure on our people expressed by the forced passportization, integration processes, the occupational authorities make accent on our children, implementing some programs of rest and recreation with the only purpose for them to be deported to Russian Federation to spend there the most time possible. And during this recreation, the children are being brainwashed and induced propaganda regarding the facts that Russia is in Kherson region forever, Russia is good, and Kherson region is the territory of Russia. Actually, we see the deterioration of conditions with the access to the medical aid for our people. People are being threatened not to be provided medical aid in absence of Russian passport and in absence of Russian health insurance policy, so the enemy used the access to the basic medical aid as a lever of pressure on our people. Well, and talking about the situation under the territory under Ukrainian control, what is the situation there? Well, the situation is under control both in terms of mitigation of consequences of terroristic act in Kakhovka Dam and covering of humanitarian needs in the communities where people have those needs. Also, in my opinion, the presidential initiative shoulder to shoulder is being implemented quite intensely. In some communities, the repair works are underway. In some communities, the damaged and destroyed properties are being inspected to create the plan for reconstruction works. A lot of specialists from other regions are involved in this process of reconstruction of residences for our residents of Kherson, and there is a huge number of specialists and funds which is planned to be engaged for reconstruction of Kherson region. So what are the consequences of detonation of Kakhovka Dam? What works are underway? What is done already? Well, the whole territory was already inspected by the pyrotechnics because unfortunately the water could have left some explosive devices. Fortunately, those devices are not so numerous. However, we were able to detect a couple of dozens and to detonate them in a controlled manner. The mitigation works are still underway because the water left a lot of debris, a lot of trash that needs to be cleared so that people could start rebuilding their homes. As to the mitigation, I can also add the implementation of the support programs for the people funded by local and central budget, plus at the expense of the international organizations, the social services administrations work on solving this issue, on processing all the applications so that people could get that financial aid the soonest possible. Also, we try to avoid the mass concentration of people in such centers for submission of applications because the enemy may open fire since they consider such concentrations of people as legit targets. So what is the number of applications that were submitted for the time being? Well, I cannot give you the exact figure, but it's over 1,000 applications for different types of help. Now this figure is way bigger because that information that I had is not as of today. The local military administration works in intense matter to start the operation of Bureau for Technical Inventory the soonest possible, so that people could work within the framework of e-reconstruction program. I hope that it will start fulfilling its functions the soonest possible. Well, and what is the environmental situation after the detonation of Kakhovka Dam, and is there a preliminary estimates of the loss and damage? Well, everything that is related to the evaluation of consequences for our environment, the consequences are catastrophic. We still don't have final figures because we can only calculate the damage on the West Bank, and the access to the East Bank is restricted, diplomatically saying. We keep sampling water on a daily basis, keep sampling water from the Dnieper and from the underground. We submit the samples to the State Research and Development Institute in Odessa for thorough examination, but for the time being the situation is under control. There are certain deviations of a number of indicators in the water, but there is no epidemiological threat for the time being, should the people adhere to the recommendations provided by the local administrations. Well, getting back to the East Bank, the water has subsided already there, and there was information that the occupiers started getting back to their positions and resumed the intense shelling of the West Bank. Can you confirm that information, that the occupiers have got back to their positions? Well, they did not return to the positions that existed before, but we see that they were able to resume the intense shelling of our territory. We can observe it on a daily basis, 60, 70 shellings. The last day there were 78 shellings, and every day we keep losing people. Unfortunately, yesterday one person perished and one was injured. It all happened in the courtyards of the properties of those people, so I urge everybody. I understand you cannot stay inside all the time, stay in shelter all the time, but if there is no urgent need, please stay in some protected buildings, because those who died and were injured were staying outside. Thank you, Mr. Yurii. Dear colleagues, do we have questions on the floor? Good morning. It's known that the occupiers keep bringing collaborationists from other regions to Kherson region, from Crimea and from Zaporizhia region. Don't they have enough collaborationists in Kherson region? And what is the situation with the elections there, with the elections that they're going to hold in September? And have we seen any of our collaborationists in that company? Thank you for your question. It's a very important question regarding the elections. They're fake. Election committees stated that they were ready to hold the elections in the beginning of September. However, in case of a complicated security situation, the elections could be postponed, but there will be no real elections. They are only going to draw a propaganda picture to demonstrate that Kherson is a part of Russian Federation, fully integrated there. But the majority of our people definitely don't want to take part in this process. Unfortunately, the level of collaboration is still high there. That helps the occupational authorities to to do it. However, if there will be something like those elections happening, it will be the same situation as with the referendum, when the armed people accompany those collaborationists and force people to vote, because in the election size, voting size, there will be minimum number of people, and they will be forced to walk around the homes so that somebody throws a bulletin in. It's clear that when you have armed people visiting your home, you probably would be forced to sign and put that bulletin in the urn, but that voting, that elections will not be recognized by either Ukraine or international community, so it will have no legal force. As to the responsibility of the people, if people take part in this voting under pressure and given the risk to their life and health, they will not be responsible. But those who will be taking part in organization of that show, they will be 100% liable. So please think before you agree to such cooperation with the enemy, because you will be brought to liability one way or another. Regarding the collaborationists, it's a complex problem of theirs, because I'm sure everybody remembers the occupational authorities. They had a very big problem with creation of the regional management vertical, so to say, because the representatives of local government were leaving the occupied territories en masse because they were threatened and they refused to cooperate. So the local authorities, occupational authorities, were formed out of those who were staying, because there was no big number of people, and people got in offices who have no relevant skills or experience. They have nothing at all, no capabilities to organize any processes, and the results of such management were quite clear. And this is the first reason why those people are now being replaced with somebody who has any management experience, including the citizens of Russian Federation. And another reason, we used to say it and we keep saying it, that the traitors, they have a very short expiration term. Those who stay in the local level, they remain there for a little time, but all the others will be replaced by people who come from Russian Federation, because the real attitude to our people is not quite good. They're not considered equal to the citizens of Russian Federation who reside in Russian Federation, no matter what they say, but still they understand that those who came to them are the traitors, but nobody needs the traitors, at least for a long time. Mr. Yurii, thank you very much for informing us about the situation in Kherson region. I'm reminding you, joining us was Yurii Sobolevskyi, first deputy head of Kherson Regional Council, and at 15 minutes, at 12 o'clock, we will be talking about current situation in the borders and checkpoints. Stay tuned.